Hi, my name's Derek and I'm an advisor on Contact's free helpline. This short video is one of a series looking at different aspects of claiming Disability Living Allowance, better known as DLA for short. DLA is the main benefit for disabled children, and this video provides an overview of what you should think about before you even sit down and try to complete the DLA claim pack. Now, if you've got a DLA claim pack in front of you, the first thing you're probably thinking is how on earth can the form be so long? It runs to about 40 pages and there's another 28 pages of detailed guidance notes. So there's no doubt that its length can be really off-putting. But no matter how tempting it is to try and rush the form and complete it in one sitting, it's much better to take your time, break the form into different sections and complete the form over a number of days or even weeks. It's really important that you try to provide as much information about your child's needs as you can. Some claims are refused simply because there wasn't enough information in the form for benefit to be awarded. The person who's going to make a decision on your claim will never get the chance to meet your child, and they aren't an expert on the condition that your child has. They are simply a civil servant who works for the Department of Work and Pensions. So remember, if you don't spell out in detail what your child's extra help and support needs are, the likelihood is that they'll simply assume that they don't really have major difficulties in those areas. When you fill the form in, don't just rely on the small tick boxes. Try and provide a detailed explanation of your child's needs in the bigger text boxes that are also on the form. Provide as much detail as you can. If you feel there isn't enough space on the boxes in the form itself, you can add additional information on a separate sheet of paper. Just remember to write your child's name and their date of birth on any additional sheets, just in case they become separated from the main form itself. Now, at the end of the day, the form is a self-assessment. You're being asked to explain what extra help your child needs, what this looks like, how often it happens, and how long it takes. You're the expert here. You know your child better than any teacher, any doctor, any social worker. You're the only person who sees your child's needs morning, noon, and night. So make sure that you provide enough detail that someone who's never met your child would have a clear picture of the type of help that they need. Now, sometimes parents will worry about not putting the information in the right boxes on the form, but try not to worry about this too much. The important thing is that the information goes onto the form somewhere. The DLA unit can't ignore information just because it appears in a different box than they would normally expect. They must take it into account regardless of where it appears on the page. Now, when you're completing the form, remember it's not enough just to prove that your child has a condition or disability. That's usually not something that's under dispute with the DLA unit. What you need to be able to show is that as a result of their condition and the symptoms that they experience, they require more care or watching over than other children of the same age. So when possible, try to explain not only what difficulties your child has, but why you think this is different from other children of the same age. If you have other children yourself who are either similar age or slightly older, then it's useful to compare how the type of care differs from what you gave that child with your disabled child. If you don't have other children, then try and compare your child to the needs of perhaps nieces or nephews or friends that have other children of the same age. Now, if someone was to ask you what care needs your child has, there are some things that you simply might not think about. As a parent, there are things that you probably do for your child that have simply become second nature, and they're part of your child's everyday routine, and you probably do them without even thinking about them at all. But when you come to fill in the form, you'll need to take a step back from your routine and think about in detail all the things you're doing, how long they're taking, and whether other parents are having to provide similar levels of care. To help you with this, it's really helpful to keep a diary for a week or so to record all the things you're doing, how frequently you do them, and how long they take. And the notes to the form do include an example of what a diary might look like. So when you come to fill in the form, try to think about what difficulties your child has with day-to-day tasks, how this impacts on them, and what would happen if they didn't get the help that they need. Explain how often your child needs help rather than how often they get help, because there may be times where they don't get all the help they need due to circumstances beyond your control. Now, the form can be a bit harder to complete if your child's condition varies. And if they've got a fluctuating conditions, they might need a lot more care in some weeks or months than others. When you're filling in the form, it's probably a good idea to start by explaining what their needs are on bad days and then moving on to explain what better days might look like. If your child still has some difficulties on better days, it's really important that you spell this out as clearly as you can. Otherwise, the DLA unit may assume that on better days there are no problems at all, rather than there still being issues, just not as severe as on bad days. Some parents say they're put off filling in the form because they think they might not word things properly, and there's a common myth that your chances of an award are higher if you use the right phrases or describe your child's needs in a particular language. But we at Contact don't think this is true. Actually, a decision maker is much more likely to believe what's written in the form if it's in your own words and based on real anecdotes about your child's needs and behaviours. A decision maker might be more sceptical where the information in the claim form too closely follows the language that's used in the law or regulations, and which they're probably going to have seen repeated in numerous other claim forms that they've already dealt with. Now remember to reward yourself once you've completed the form. Filling it in can be really challenging, not just because of its length, but also because it can be a bit of an emotionally draining experience. The form doesn't really look at your child's achievements, how resilient they are, what they've been able to overcome. Instead, it focuses exclusively on what's more challenging, what's more difficult, and what takes a lot longer to do. And some parents can feel a bit demoralised after putting all that information into the form. But ultimately, it will be worth it if the claim is successful and you get a DLA award. Finally, try and remember if you can to keep a photocopy of the completed DLA claim pack. And this will help you in the future if you need to challenge a DLA decision or if you're asked to make a new claim at some date in the future. Okay, thanks for watching.